Okay, so Shantanu, I sent you an invite. All right. All right. You?
Hi, Pragya.
Okay. Hi, let me just
Hi,
modify
morning.
this so that you can see me as well. Okay, I
Yeah,
think, yeah. All right, so let's get started.
of course.
So basically, I think we have a few people watching also. Titled Spine, the Centerpiece of Your Fitness. And it's an interesting session because I think both of us come from very different backgrounds. But, we're talking about the same issues, the same subject. And it's very relevant, it's a subject which is really relevant right now because everybody is sitting at home. We're, I think, sitting now more than ever. Even those people who used to sit before, now it's just like it's the way the entire world, the amount of time we're sitting, it's just shot up. So as a result, a lot of people are complaining about back pain. Uh, you know, Even though, like in my experience, many people are joining more yoga classes, and all of that is happening, but yet we do see a lot of spinal problems.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to, get it from you, like understand from you. When we say spine, the centerpiece of your fitness or health, what do you mean by that? And maybe, before you get into the topic, I know
I
you've
think
written a book. It's an amazing book.
I think
Yeah.
Pragya, you're right in the sense that yes, we tend to not take care of our spines as well as our hearts, which is a fact that all of us know. And back pain actually is one of the most common things, and you would know this being an expert. That we see so many people who want to exercise and who want to take care of their fitness, but their spine is their limiting factor.
Hmm.
So a lot of exercises and a lot of movements are not possible because the back hurts or the neck hurts or something like that happens.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's very important for us to understand why and how I can take care of my spine. Because if I do that, then my overall fitness and health tends to improve a lot. So
Hmm.
I think
Right.
it's a very relevant thing, especially during this pandemic, like you also stated, that a lot of people are sitting now, and they're not just sitting; they're sitting on sofas and beds instead of chairs and tables.
Yeah. Up the other day, a friend of mine, I was speaking to a friend of mine, and they had gone out for because they needed to buy a laptop or something, because the kid is starting school and online, and they needed like an additional laptop or something. And they went to Featherlight, I believe, and she said it was jam packed because people are buying furniture,
Yeah.
office furniture, because it's just people are sitting all the time. So it's like we are now forced to buy furniture or maybe buy certain kind of mattresses, certain kind of beds, all because of our backs hurt so much. And
Yeah.
like you said, it's limiting. It does limit us in terms of the exercises that we do. However, it also limits us in terms of our lifestyle.
It's a lot
You
of
can't
mental thing as well.
enjoy your. Hmm. Yeah,
It's a lot
sorry.
of it's a lot of mental thing as well, like you were saying.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, so tell me, in your experience, like you've written an entire book about the spine, and um, like how do you look at why would you say like that the spine is the centerpiece? Only because it's the limiting factor, like the number one limiting factor, or is there?
No, I think more than it being a limiting factor. See, you would also have seen in your experience, and I'm sure a lot of people who work in healthcare and in fitness industry would realize that if your spine is not strong, a lot of your other muscles don't really difficult for people to understand. But let's say you are trying to work on your upper back, or you're trying to work on your lower back muscles, or you're trying to work on your leg muscles, or any of that. If you don't have a strong back, you will ultimately be overloading the back and hurting it. And that's why I feel that the centerpiece, and that's why it's called the core also. So the core muscles are called core muscles because it is sort of like the centerpiece. If that is not there, then anything else in your body does not really function. I know, I'll give one example. There's one example that I can quote of somebody who had, who had like we call it like a celebrity body. So the person could not do any shoulder exercises which were above his ear level. So he can't do a shoulder press, he can't do things like that because the shoulder used to hurt. The reason was that his upper back and lower back were extremely stiff and not moving at all. So they were not really helping him do that movement. So something as trivial as that can become a problem for you if you really want to take care of your health. Now that is an advanced level of fitness, but even at a basic level, because I think we should talk about people who generally are not people who want to have that kind of body, but who just want to maintain their fitness level. Even then, if you don't take care of your spine, a lot of things will not work because a lot of doctors advise you, and you and I also advise people to take a walk. But if you have a back problem, even the simple act of walking becomes difficult.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes like in yoga particularly, I see that, people who come with injuries and injuries that they may not even realize, such as let's say that, they have a very stiff, upper spine or a lower spine, which is very, very stiff. I can see, when they do certain asanas, that their body is trying to somehow compensate for it. So they may be able to do the movement, but it's loading another part of the body. And over time, like initially, when you're practicing yoga maybe for 2-3 years, you get the sense that, hey, I'm doing all these asanas and it's great. But in the long run, you end up injuring yourself, which is why there's a very famous quote that we have in yoga. We say you're only as young as your spine.
Yeah,
So
very true.
if you take care of your spine, and if you make sure that it's healthy and it's flexible, your longevity increases. And also you can perform certain exercises, whether it's yoga or whether it's any other sport that you want, for a longer time. So it won't be like, in a couple of years, like 10 years down the line, I won't have these students coming back to me and saying, well, I cannot do this thing which I used to do, but I've been doing yoga for so long, and now I cannot do it. I mean, that's very common. I see that students saying, well, I've always done yoga. I've always, but now I don't understand how I got this problem. The problem happens because you're not focusing on the spine. You're not focusing on the alignment of the spine, and your body is going to give one day.
But Pragya, I've always had this impression, and I think a lot of people would have this question that yoga is typically related to longevity. Like you also mentioned, so if you do yoga regularly, it tends you relate it to longevity. But longevity, I think, is more than just age. Longevity is
Right.
overall health and fitness. And so, what is your view on that?
Yes, I completely agree with you on that. Age is just a number. And many times, like a lot of people say, oh, you don't look so old. And people think that it's only about the looks, like whether it's like how many wrinkles you have or white hair or whatever. But actually, it's not that. We think people look young because they look youthful. They look energetic. There's a bounce in their step. They look very youthful. So being youthful and looking young are two very different things, and I think, and with yoga and other holistic wellness practices, not just yoga, but we have so many other things. These things, keep you youthful. And having, like, I've practiced yoga for maybe over a decade now, and I can really vouch that, that youthfulness, it's not just an external thing. It is a very internal thing. I look youthful because I am youthful. I feel youthful. And I think that's primarily because yoga, it focuses on your spine. I mean, we are talking about spine in every single asana. And which is why, when you speak about certain styles of yoga, such as Iyengar yoga, we're always telling people it's not about touching your toes because you might curve the spine when you do that, but it is about extending and lengthening the spine and giving it rest, giving the vertebrae of the spine rest, give it the rest that you need. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and honestly, I have recently started doing some amount of amateur yoga, but
Oh, that's great.
I can really understand that, we tend to feel that, okay, I will just do these asanas quickly and get out of it, but it's not that. If you really focus on what you are doing, it's immensely difficult. And I realized that, when it's a simple all fours position. So I realized this a couple of days back. A simple all fours position is typically done with you pushing the ground. You actually realize that, oh damn, my upper back is not that strong.
Yeah.
And this is when I have genuinely been doing years and years of weight training. But still, you realize that just a simple all fours exercise is difficult. And the reason is
Yeah.
that, again, like we said, the centerpiece of my head, the spine, is not really in the best alignment, or it is not as strong as I would want it to be.
Mhm. Yeah, and you bring up a strong, very good point because like a lot of people, they do not have like a yoga aspect to their workout. Whether it's yoga or let's say even if it's Pilates, I'm qualified to talk about yoga, but there's so many other forms of movement which are more holistic. But I find that a lot of people think that that's not useful. So a lot of
Yeah.
people will focus on weightlifting, for instance, and they'll weightlift like 5 times a week with just like those basic stretches in the beginning and maybe a few
In
basic
the end.
stretches
Yes.
at the end.
I am
And
one of them.
okay. Yeah, so what happens with that is that your body is getting stressed, and it's not that rest is important, that because when you rest, that's when your body gets rejuvenated, and that's where the longevity comes in, so you can go
Yeah.
back into the gym the next day and really perform better and really get a lot more out of it. So I think that's one thing that a lot of people have to that's relevant to a lot of people, because I see a lot of people just running, and they run like 6 times a week, and then on Sunday they have a long run which is very slow, or they'll do weightlifting, but they're not really thinking about the restorative aspect.
Yeah.
And if you keep stressing the spine, you are weakening it. And if you're not thinking about your spine at all, which like a lot of weightlifters are not thinking about their spine, a lot of runners are not thinking about their spine as much as they should be. So over time it deteriorates. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, there has to be this idea that has to go out to the fitness community and to the health community that look, rest is important, and you
Yeah.
have to take care of your spine. You know,
Agreed.
yeah.
Agreed. And like I said, that I've been doing weight training for years and years, and actually during the pandemic, I realized that I should start exploring other formats of exercise. So now I do a mix of different kind of things, and that
Mm.
really helps a lot. And I've realized I do a mix of different things, and you may call it yoga, you may call it stretching, you may call it
Yeah.
calisthenics, you may call it Pilates, but all these formats really tell you that your spine is really, really important. And even the
Mm.
basic yoga of just breathing exercises emphasizes that you sit straight and that you sit
Yes.
tall and then your neck is up. All of these things are essentially ensuring that you breathe right. And when I'm
Yeah.
slouched, my breathing pattern goes for a toss. So when I'm sitting
Right.
straight, I'm actually breathing better. And breathing is the most basic thing that we do.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, exactly. And especially in pranayam, like a breathing practice, we do emphasize on sitting up straight and opening the rib cage and opening the chest. Otherwise, it becomes very shallow breathing. And we believe that your breathing is a direct reflection of the state of mind. So if your breath is very shallow and very fast, then your mind is very fast. And that is stress in itself. In yoga, we define stress as that, like thoughts which are very fast, which are very jumbled. But the moment you slow down your breath with things like Anulom Vilom Pranayam, it has an impact. I mean, it's not only working because oxygen is going in, it is working because your mind automatically, because you have to focus on the breath, your mind slows down, your thoughts slow down. And that's when your body actually rests, and your mind actually rests. Yeah.
Yeah, and during my practice also, we tend to give these exercises which are called as spinal exercises, And my physiotherapy friends would relate to me when I tell them that, you gave a McKenzie exercise, or you gave Williamson's exercise, or you gave
Yeah.
a different kind of exercise you gave. But ultimately, so I've had a lot of patients who are themselves, they practice yoga. So when I tell them an exercise, they say, huh, this though I do in yoga. And this exercise also I do in yoga. So there's a lot of overlap. But I
Hmm.
think it is more about, like you rightly said, it is not just doing the asana, but doing it correctly, which ultimately matters. And
Yes.
if we
Yes.
just focus on that, and I think we had that, online lit fest in which we discussed this a lot, that how stress plays a major role. And if you are
Mm-hmm.
not in the moment at that time, and you're just doing it for the sake of that, I have to do this, then it will really not work. So what do you think
Yeah.
about the role that stress has to play in exercise and maintaining spinal health?
Yeah, I think your exercise routine or your whatever fitness routine you have either be a cause of stress for you, or it can be the place which removes stress. So like I have a lot of students right now, and especially because the pandemic was like an instant thing, right? One day we realized tomorrow we cannot go out. So there were a lot of students to the online yoga bandwagon. And uh, and there were many students who I saw. They said, okay, now I have a lot more time in my day, and I'm just relaxing and I'm just doing yoga. And uh, and these students, have been able to manage, like that's their stress release, that's their stress busting time. But I've also seen a lot of students who have a lot of time now, and they're trying to join like 2 classes every day, 7 days a week. And that is just causing a lot more stress to your body and to your mind. One thing is that you're just stressing your body too much. Number two, it is difficult to keep receiving all this information from Zoom, from the
Yeah,
TV, like, okay,
right.
do this. It's just, it's causing additional stress. So
Yeah.
what I've told my students is that you can even reduce the number of days that you're doing yoga, but that the quality of your yoga class has to be like, okay, it's providing me with a place where I can reduce my stress, rather than, oh, I have to be on time. Now it's yoga class. Now it's like something else which is online class, and I have, so
Yeah.
that I think is,
I think it's
with the times that we're in right now, you need to make sure that yoga is not causing additional stress,
correct.
and
It's
like
it's
just keep.
not it's not just a tick box that you've done, that yeah, I do yoga also.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh, and
exactly.
I think you put it really well, that it's sort of you're just trying to fill your day with things that you do, because you have a lot of free
Yeah.
time, and you're just trying to fill your day by doing yoga also, by doing calisthenics also, and by doing weight
Yes.
training also, not
Yes.
realizing that in the same day three things should not be done, like
Exactly.
medically
Hmm.
stating, uh, you can't do yoga immediately followed by exercise. You should have
Hmm.
a gap in
Yeah.
between, because they are two very different lines of thought.
Yes. Agreed. Yes. So people are just sort of like in this, like it's almost like a race. Like, I don't want to say it's a rat race, but it is some sort of race that I've subscribed to these classes and that classes, and like people are going on these challenges, like 15 days to handstand, and learn to do the splits in a month, and along with that they're doing other things, and it's just causing a lot more stress than helping, actually. So, but yeah, it's quite interesting that there's so many things which overlap in from your perspective and my perspective. And so what are the, like, there I've noticed during our conversation, like three things that have really come out, like that the
Yeah.
similarities between what you're
Yeah.
saying and what I'm saying. Number one thing that we're talking about is that we should always practice from the point of view of the spine. Practice yoga or do any exercise, or
Yeah.
any form of movement,
Fair.
making sure that your spine is like safe. Do you have anything to add to that? Like the spine should remain safe, aligned.
It should be in the right alignment broadly, because if it's not in the right alignment, then whatever exercise you're doing is faulty. So it will give you a problem later on, if not right now.
Hmm. Yeah. And in your experience, how can someone know that, like, what are some of the signals that I'm doing this wrong? Because a
Um,
lot of people think they're doing it right.
I think it's the moment you start doing the exercise with zero stress and just doing the exercise by being here, you realize, because see, all of us have got such wonderful bodies which tell us what's happening. And
Mm.
if we just listen to it, a lot of things will be solved. So even if it is
Mm.
your first day in the gym, or even if it is the first day of yoga class, you will know
Mm.
that, okay, this movement is painful, but it is good
Mm.
pain. And this movement is painful, but ouch, that I should not be doing that.
Yeah.
Your body tells you. It is just that I think it's peer pressure, or it is just that no, I have to do this, that makes you enjoy yourself. Because it's like,
Yeah.
even right now, so you would also have experiences, because you have been doing yoga for decades,
Mm.
and you would be able to do a movement maybe simply. So just like a simple bhujangasana is easy for you, but it's not
Mm.
for maybe one of your students. But because you are able to do it easily and hold it for about 30 odd seconds, they feel ki nahi
Yeah.
yaar, I should be also able to do this.
Yeah.
And even when they are in pain, they keep pushing.
Yes.
So I think it's important to realize the good pain and bad pain, because
Yeah.
even the simple bhujangasana that we're talking about, if we do it up till a certain range, it will be good pain where you feel stretch in your back, where you feel that okay, I should be here. You'll feel it that I should be here.
Yes.
Beyond
Yep.
that, it starts getting really tingly and painful. So I think those are
Yes.
points which help you understand that something is right or
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, and it's a good point you bring up because now that everything is online, more and more people are following teachers who are online, and the reason that they're following these teachers is because they find them impressive, they find them aspirational. But where they're going wrong is that that teacher has more range of movement. That teacher has decades of experience and
Yeah.
study, and so you
Yeah.
trying to follow somebody on especially online when you don't have access to that teacher to clarify a point or some thought, it can cause damage to you. So we have to be very
Yeah.
careful with how we're following these teachers online as well. Okay, so the
Absolutely.
second thing that I saw that you also said, and I actually had it in my notes as well, is to do a mix of different things. So not to stick to one kind of movement day in, day out, and just sort of keep mixing your movement so that your spine is also well oiled and sort of massaged and do you have anything to say about that? Like you also have decided to do different things.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I've practically started doing it, and it does make a lot of difference. I can say it with at least a month and a half of experience that it
Mm.
really helps. So I have now started doing a mix of weight training and body weight exercises and functional and yoga and just going for a brisk walk. So I do a mix of
Yeah.
that now, and I think that really brings about what I call real fitness and health, where you feel fitter. It's not just that you look fitter.
Right. I agree with you. Yeah. I myself, I go for runs. And then, of course, like there's a regular yoga practice. But along with that, I've started incorporating a different kind of movement, which is based in something we call Laban. But it's
Yeah.
just a different kind of movement. It has a lot of like dance elements, and the
Uh-huh.
teacher she incorporates a lot of yoga and dance, and it's a very fluid, dynamic kind of flow. So I find myself like it's very engaging for the mind also because I cannot be thinking
Yeah.
anything while I'm doing that,
Yeah.
and it keeps you challenged also. And I think that's also how you stay young because your mind and your body are constantly challenged and you rise to the challenge, and that's again, I guess, the
True.
secret of longevity and youthfulness.
Yeah. True.
And one more thing that both of us mentioned, and you particularly like brought it out, very clearly, is that rest is important.
Yeah.
You have to rest the spine as well, and like you work out, if you're working out 6 days a week in heavy duty workout, there has to be on a daily basis a little bit of a rest. Like in yoga we say shavasana.
Yeah.
So instead of like saying like just a 5 minute shavasana or skipping shavasana altogether, because a lot of students think that that's optional. They think the
Yeah.
main Surya Namaskars are done, and now shavasana is
Yeah.
not important. But I think for spinal health especially, I think the whole day if you're sitting, if you're standing, the spine is being pulled down by gravity, and I think once you lie down, whether it's on a bed or on your mat, like for Shavasana, that is when the spine starts to recuperate. that's when it starts to, sort of get the rest that it needs. That's when your head also, your thoughts also relax. So I think rest is very important. And I always recommend, like, obviously we all think 7 hours of sleep every night.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, is there anything else you would recommend to people?
I think it's like you mentioned, it's important to give rest to your body, and I've mentioned this in my book as well that it is see all back pain, spine pain, everything we've discussed it for last half an hour. All spine related pain is because of demand and supply.
Mm-hmm.
If the demand on your body is high and your supply is low, then you will have back pain. So you either reduce the demand or increase the supply to figure out a balance. How you figure out a balance is that you sort of increase the supply by exercising your spine and building the flexibility and strength in it. And how you reduce the demand is by giving rest to your spine and during the day trying to avoid excessive load by sitting slouched. So the more slouched you sit, the more demand is there on your spine, and we don't realize it. And we
Right.
feel that okay, I'm sitting only. So whether I'm sitting on a chair or sitting on a sofa, it's the same thing. They are diametrically opposite things.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
reducing
Yeah.
that demand and improving the supply is, in my mind, one way of balancing out things.
Right. Right. Okay. That's a very good point. Do you have a copy of your book around? Maybe we could just show everybody, and in case anyone.
Uh, I really don't because
Okay. Maybe
my
you can.
books are
Yeah.
all kept. I will.
Okay. So maybe
I
you
can
send
share
me a
it in the
picture.
comments later.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
can share the link also because it is an incredibly relevant and incredibly, like it's an easy to understand book. It's for everybody. It's not a book which is full of jargon and, people
Yeah.
can't understand, laymen cannot understand. So it's a very important book. And I think now that we have a lot more time to read, I think it's definitely one of those books that we should pick up. Also, I wanted to like let everybody know that in case this session has helped you, and if you have any questions, any specific questions for Dr. Shantanu or for me, please feel free to reach out to us. We could even plan like another session,
Yeah.
maybe another session
Absolutely.
to, maybe to show people how they're supposed to be sitting, the right way of sitting, right way of
Yeah.
standing, and we could definitely plan a session like that. Right now, we just wanted to address, very like the pressing problems that people are facing right now. So yeah, I think this has been like an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Thanks
And
for having me,
yeah,
Pragya. I think
let's.
it was wonderful. It's always great interacting with you, and this
Yeah,
was definitely
it's
a great
amazing. Yeah.
session.
It's always actually for me it's very interesting to interact with people who don't have like the same background as I do because I
Yeah.
I interact with a lot of yoga people on a daily basis, but
Yeah.
to always get like a view from the medical fraternity especially, it sort of validates what we're talking
Exactly.
about from point of view of
Exactly.
yoga, and then you know that you're doing the right thing, you know that what you're doing
Mm.
is on the right track and that it can
Yeah.
be useful for people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So
Cool.
is there any comments or questions? You'll see them in my timeline,
Yeah. Right.
and yeah, hopefully we can do this again sometime soon.
Definitely. Definitely. Thanks,
Great.
Pragya. Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.
Thank you everyone for joining. Bye.
Bye.